brought to you by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. I'm Jordan Prentice, and today I am joined by Director of Public Works here in Hudson's Hope, Robert Dauphinee. Thank you so much for joining me today, Robert.
Oh, thank you.
And we are here at the Hudson's Hope water treatment plant. And earlier this month, I believe on July 14th, after 199 days, the District of Hudson's Hope had their boil water advisory rescinded. So Robert is going to tell us the steps it took to get to where we are now.
Sure. Well, originally we were trying to provide groundwater to the community, and what we found out is the quality of the groundwater was changing over time, and the process we had in place wasn't able to treat the water. So we ended up having to make a decision as to how we're going to continue to provide water to the community. We recognize that, that we may have to go back to the Peace River. That was a source for the community for a number of years. Actually, originally, it's always been the Peace River. So we decided that the best opportunity for us to continue to provide water is to move back to bring water in from the Peace River. When we did that, we recognized we also had to make changes to the process. The process for treating groundwater was much different than what we need to the Peace River. So what we had to do, we had to go out and look at getting a clarifier. A clarifier is a unit. We have a mobile one here on site now. That's used to remove suspended solids from the water prior to going into the treatment process. So we brought that clarifier in. That was active in March of this year. We got that up and running, and then as part of our permitting process, we also had to put in a UV disinfection unit, which is ultraviolet light that treats the water to disinfect it. So the process right now that we have operating, we call it a temporary process, it's working fine, is that the water will come up out of the river, go into the clarifier, that'll remove the suspended solids, and then it'll go down into our cistern, which is then pumped up into the treatment plant. In there it goes through a media filter, and then after the media filter it goes through a cartridge filter. Through the UV, we inject it with chlorine out to the community. We've been running this process in this setup since early June, meeting the standards. It took a little while between early June when we had the process fully up and running to July 14th to have the boil advisory rescinded. But we've been providing water actually to the community that's been potable since probably the first week of June.
But you had to go through the testing process and then get the okay from Northern Health.
That's correct,
right?
yes, and that came on the 14th of July.
Okay, so Robert, you said that this is temporary, but it's been working really well, so it may become a permanent solution?
That's something that's our next step, is to investigate what's our long-term solution. Obviously, an outside unit like this it's not a permanent setup. So the idea is that we're evaluating the information we're getting here that's looking very good for us, and that'll be incorporated into making a decision on the final design of what the ultimate final treatment process will be here for the town.
Okay, and are you able to tell me what some other options might be if not this one?
Well, there's various other technologies that you can look at. For us, the clarifier situation in terms of the removal of suspended solids is probably the challenging part right now. We've looked at this one. We haven't really evaluated. There's many technologies out there that you can look at. So we'll have a consultant do an evaluation, look at what we know of this treatment process, look at comparative processes, and then ultimately we'll be making the decision based on what we see is the most effective for the community.
Okay. So kind of my last question for you, or maybe, no, I have two more quick questions for you. Sure. First of all, like kind of last summer, fall, it was do not consume, and then it was boil water advisory, and then everything was okay, and then it was just a lot of back and forth for Hudson's Hope residents with the water. Is this like a solid, like are Hudson's Hope residents kind of at risk for going back on a boil water advisory anytime soon?
I should say we've got some small challenges. The water in the river is different than groundwater. It gets very turbid. You get a lot of rain. The water quality can change. Mm-hmm. We feel this process is able to handle it. We're able to hopefully go with any more interruptions to the water, and we'll not have to go on an advisory. That's what we're hoping.
Fingers crossed.
And we want to stay there. That's the plan anyway.
So that was kind of my next question for you. What challenges? Have you had any challenges with this with the clarifier?
We've had, in terms of it's a new technology for us and our staff to get familiar with how to operate it. Again, it's the changing water in the river. That is the big thing. As more water comes through the river stream, whether it's a heavy rainfall, maybe more water coming over the dams, it changes the water. So that's the biggest challenge. But as I said, we've had this in place since June. We've had varying weather and varying water conditions, and we've been able to handle that so far. So we're optimistic that we've got a good technology in place, and it hopefully might be part of what our final options will be here for the community.
Okay, and when you say the water in the river is like different than groundwater, obviously, what about when they begin filling, when BC Hydro begins filling the Site C reservoir? Because that water is going to come.
Sure, it's
Right?
going to push back here. We anticipate there will be a change in the water. There will be probably additional suspended solids, which this unit is designed to treat. So we expect there's going to be a period where the water's going to be a little more challenging, probably similar to what we might run into when we get high, heavy rain events.
Okay.
But it'll obviously may last for a little longer. But ultimately, I think what the researchers tell us, and what we know is that once the reservoir settles, you'll have a real good, clean water quality, which less change than likely what we see here in the river today.
Perfect. Okay. I think that's all I have to ask you today, Robert. Did I miss anything?
No, I think
No,
you're pretty well covered.
we covered it,
I
right?
think we did, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to go through all that with me, Robert. And congratulations, Hudson's Hope, that, you get to drink tap water now.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got good water now.
Yeah.
Help yourself.
Yeah. So you have been watching the Community Roundup, brought to you by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. For those of you just joining us, my name is Jordan Prentice, and today I've been joined by Robert Dauphinee, and he is the Director of Public Works here at Hudson's Hope, and he told us all about the water treatment plant and how it's up and running now. So you can go ahead and watch the full video on Moose FM and energeticcity.ca social media pages. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.